All right, we are live. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of IBNW News. If this is your first time here, we're a show that just loves to talk about news from the Christian standpoint. This is not your first time here. Highly encourage you to like, share, and subscribe, as it really does help in pushing this message out there. Now, just a fair warning today, if anybody has gone through some traumatic events, we are going to be talking about Robert Morris and honestly the elders of Gateway Church and a little bit surrounding the situation here. And honestly, I really want to be done talking about this because it's just, it's this whole situation. But basically, some new information kind of came out, and it appears as if there is an inconsistency on different both sides, really, of the story on what is going on. And I just kind of want to dig into that because it was previously reported on one thing, and then now it's saying something else. And then there's there a way to kind of reconcile these things together? And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, we're going to get into it as we continue on. But first off, I do want to keep you abreast at least of this situation. So, uh, first, happy Sunday for those of you who are live streaming. I hope you had a wonderful day worshiping the Lord. Let's go ahead and get into this. So, Gateway Church elders and Robert Morris' son take a leave of absence amid the abuse investigation. Once again, this investigation, if you did not know, is being conducted by an independent law firm. Now, at the same time, there are some criticisms with that, as it's been pointed out that this law firm specializes in kind of like a damage control type situation. So there's a lot of questions surrounding whether or not this will be a legitimate investigation or not. That's remained to be seen. I'm not going to go ahead and speculate on that. Just want to report to you what we're hearing. So this article does come from the Christian Post, and we're going to go ahead and get into it. So, three members of the Board of Elders of Gateway Church in Southlake, Texas, including the son of founder Robert Morris, have voluntarily taken a temporary leave of absence. Voluntarily. Keywords, voluntarily. The decision comes as a part of an ongoing independent investigation into the accusations against Morris. The law firm, this is the law firm we were just talking about, Haynes and Boone, was appointed by Gateway Church, so it was appointed by them, not appointed by an independent appointee, if you really want to, kind of point that out, to ensure impartial investigation. And their initial recommendation was for any elder with potential conflicts of interest, particularly those related to the events between 2005 and 2007, to step down temporarily, the Board of Elders said in a statement. So this coming from the law firm wanted these people to step down, and it looks like they did so. As a result, three current elders who were on the board and during this critical time frame, not part of the church staff, Kevin Grove, Steve Doolin, and Galen Lawshe, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that name, have taken leave of absences. These elders have said that they were unaware of the incidents in question. Pastor James Morris, which is Robert Morris' son, Gateway's newest elder and son of Robert Morris, also agreed to a temporary leave. Although he did not serve as an elder during the critical period, his family relationship with Robert Morris warranted a leave of absence to maintain the investigation's integrity. Makes a lot of sense. If you didn't know, Robert Morris's son was supposed to be this, and this is before all these allegations kind of came out, that Robert Morris was going to go ahead and retire, live a cush life of retirement, and basically come in whenever he wanted to. He wanted to be the quote apostolic elder, which is not a biblical leadership position. And basically, from his own explanation from the videos I've seen on it, he was basically explaining, I get to, I'm going to retire. I'm going to come when I want. I'm going to preach sometimes when I want. And I'm basically going to go up to the eldership and tell them what I want to do, because, I've earned that right, he said. And then he went and corrected himself, said, God's given me that right. Yeah, okay, sure. Anyways, continuing on, the affected elders will still participate in their roles as staff members at Gateway Church, contributing to its mission and community service, said the Board of Elders. Once again, I kind of trailed off before I finished there, but Robert Morris was saying his son was going to be appointed as the new senior pastor. Once again, this is a major problem with senior pastor-led churches, when really you need an elder-led system where the senior pastor has just as much power as any other elder, as opposed to a senior pastor being the apostolic elder, once again, not a biblical term, and basically having control of everything, because then they can do what they want and run a cult-like mentality. Continuing on, it says the congregation has been asked to help keep the leadership and their ongoing process in their prayers. And that is something that, honestly, no matter which way you want to take it, we do need to keep the people the congregants who have been in the dark of Gateway in their prayers. Hopefully, they find a good biblical based church. Hopefully, Gateway repents of some of their inaccurate teachings that they had over the years and becomes a biblically based church. Continuing on, it says Robert Morris admitted to inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady, and we've already gone over this. It's sad, it's disgusting. He's admitted to it. 2 days after Clemishire, who is now 54, the woman, confronted Morris in 2005, he accused her of attempting to blackmail him, which we've gone over on this episode when it came to emails, then asked her to name her price after she demanded he pay for what he had done to her as a child. Clemishire ultimately said she wanted Morris to pay $2 million in restitution. And this was something that kind of drew a red flag for me. I know some of these reports came out a few days ago. I've had family over, so I haven't really honestly been, I don't want to focus on, news and things like that when that's happening. I want to pay attention to my family. But this was the thing that kind of drew the red flag to me, that she wanted Morris to pay $2 million in restitution. And I was like, well, that's a very different story from the $50,000 that was initially reported when we were going over this. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the initial article that this was laid out on. It said Clemishire explained, this is her words, that she retained an attorney in 2005 to file a civil lawsuit, but Morris' attorney suggested she caused the abuse on herself because she was, quote, flirtatious. Once again, absolutely disgusting. She said she asked for $50,000 to cover the cost of her counseling stemming from the abuse. She said they offered $25,000 if she signed an NDA, but she refused. So what's the real story? And did she request $2 million? Did she request only $50,000? This is the inconsistency that some people are pointing to. And honestly, I think I have a really decent solution to this, but this is totally not confirmed because we need exact timelines on it. So with all that, let's go ahead and kind of jump into this. Basically, if you want to go, Christian Post has this, Roy's Report has it, NBC has it, a whole bunch of news organizations have it. These are the emails that were being exchanged between Cindy, the elders of Gateway Church, and Robert Morris himself. And we've gone over these emails, but basically you can see the dates that these were written. These were emails going from, looks like April of 2005. And if you scroll all the way down, the last email was in October of 2005. And that's basically the timeline that we have. Now, somewhere in between here, in this midst of the emails, there was a phone conversation that was had. In this phone conversation, the transcript was leaked to NBC News. And here is NBC News basically talking about the leak. And I'll go ahead and read a little bit of this statement. In a statement, Clemishire said that in 2005, after years of struggling with profound confusion about what Morris had done to her, she was finally beginning to understand that it was a crime. And I was literally, quote, I was literally sick to my stomach and wanted to finally hold him accountable, she said. The call with Robert Morris had nothing to do with money. It was about my anger and my need to confront him so that he finally knew what he had done to me. In September 2005, the call began with Morris notifying Clemishire that his wife was also on the line. The transcript shows. Note the transcript does contain misspellings and typographical errors, which are reflected. Basically, this was something that was leaked out, if you didn't know, by someone at Gateway who was transferring stuff from Robert Morris's computer to some other network. They found this file. They looked at this file. They released it. They leaked it out over to NBC News, and they were asked to remain anonymous. They did not want to have their name out there, but it's basically either someone who did work or worked for Gateway Church at one point in time. And in the transcript, it goes on to talk about how Robert Morris basically, now let's go ahead and read it. It says, okay, Morris said then. I wish we had the actual phone call, but okay, Morris said then, according to the transcript, tell us what you need to tell us. Clemishire referred to her emails from that year, those emails that we were just looking at, that she planned to go public with her story or seek criminal charges against him unless he paid for what he had done. He says, quote, well, I don't think money is going to help you, Morris said, according to the transcript. Quote, who said it was going to help me, Clemishire said, interrupting him. It is certainly helping you. No, it is not, said Morris, by the way, who by then had published his first book, The Blessed Life, and was on a path to becoming a leading national figure among evangelicals. What is helping me is that since this time, I have tried to do the right thing and I have tried to serve the Lord. Well, the right thing, Robert, would have been, actually confessing and giving the details of what you've done. But Article continues on. Morris added that he and his wife love Clemishire and wanted what's best for her. Clemishire, now 54, works as a real estate agent in Oklahoma, and he said Morris was a family friend who, we've already gone over these details. The transcript goes on. 2 years out of ministry, big deal, she said, according to the transcript. I just have a real problem. The fact that you have gone untouched by this. Morris later responded, maybe I wasn't asked to do enough, but I did everything I was asked to do. Clemishire described on the call watching interviews of people discussing that word right there and connecting those stories to her own experiences with Morris, which she said helped her better understand what she had been through. I just can't believe, she said, according to the transcript, how I've justified and made excuses. She asked Morris to imagine if, quote, this kind of thing, end quote, had happened to his daughter, who was a teenager at the time of the call and is now a pastor, big red flag there for Gateway, a pastor at Gateway Church campus in Houston. I think you would be horrified, Clemishire said. At least I hope you would. Morris said, sure, I would, according to the transcript. I'm mixing up my words here. Apologize, people. Clemishire asked Morris what he would want to happen if he learned that a pastor in the church had committed a crime against a child in his earlier years. Would you not think that they should pay? Clemishire said, according to the transcript. It may not help you to see that person go to prison, but don't you believe that they should pay for the crime that they have done? Well, Morris responded, I do not know whether it would be my responsibility for them to pay for the crime done or not. I mean, that sounds like somebody who is accusing somebody, that somebody's guilty of something, what they would say. I really honestly feel like it is not fair, Clemishire continued. It is not fair for every single thing that I have gone through and still going through, and for you to have no repercussions. Well, I have had a lot of repercussions over the years, Morris said, according to the transcript, apparently meaning repercussions. Clemishire shot back, nothing compared to mine. She also told him that if she pressed criminal charges or went public with the story, it would, quote, destroy everything that you have. Quote, I just know I want to see you pay something, she said. Morris told Clemishire that it would be wrong for him to pay her to keep her from going public. In a follow-up email nearly 2 weeks later, Morris wrote Clemishire that she could be prosecuted, which was in, once again, these emails that we see here. Basically something that right here, my attorney advises that if I pay any money under the threat of exposure, that you could be criminally prosecuted. And Debbie and I do not want that, basically threatening her once again. So we go back to the transcripts. This is really where the whole $2 million comes in. Okay, Morris said, do you want to put an amount on it then? Basically offering her hush money. Clemishire resisted naming a dollar figure on the call, according to the transcript. She repeatedly came back to her sense of injustice at watching Morris become a wealthy and powerful church leader while she struggled. I just want to say, Clemishire said towards the end of the call, would people come to your church if they knew? Before finally naming a price, $2 million, which Clemishire recently said was never paid. Clemishire returned to something that she said had been bothering her for years. Now, that you can go ahead to the NBC News article if you want to read the rest of the transcript. So basically, the question that some people have, and this is an article coming from the evangelicaldarkweb.org, where they're asking that same question. It was initially reported that Cindy Clemishire in 2005 only sought $50,000, but was countered with 25 in an NDA. Robert Morris has confessed to being that right there. And in the initial leaked memo put out by elders containing numerous details to make it clear that she was a minor at the time, in these transcripts, the confession is also clear. One thing that is not clear is the inconsistencies, such as the money sought in 2005, where the whole story was not disclosed in the initial report, but rather a misleading detail was reported. Now, some people are asking this question, and we need to go about this to make sure we go about the right way. So you can either take it as, number one, Cindy was lying in her initial report. I personally don't believe that to be the case, because when you start looking at the timelines, you can kind of see here. So, or you can say that basically she was saying $2 million randomly, just off the top of her head, kind of being sarcastic. Like, we don't know because we don't have the phone conversation. So we can't get the inflections and the context of that inside the voice. Because as you heard from the transcript, basically Cindy was resisting naming a dollar amount on it. What she was seeking after was a type of retribution, or basically she just wanted for Robert to pay for what he did, and people not to be deceived by him as if he's some, amazingly good guy when she's over here suffering and nobody's listening to her story. Chrislyn adds over here, and I just kind of want to add about on this. She says, no amount shared, shared. Sorry if I've messed up the typo. For shouldn't be held against her. No amount will ever. Basically, I get what you're saying there. You're probably typing there with a little anger. Yeah, because there is no amount of money that's ever going to give back what she wants. But once again, I think there's a good rationale that we can have. So if we go back to the emails here, uh, because sadly, some people may try to twist this into her being money hungry. And I really don't think that's the case. If we go back to the emails, once again, these emails started back in April and they go through October. Okay. So that's the year 2005. This phone call was had in 2005 in between this timeline. Somewhere down the line in 2005, and right here in this initial report, this is what it said. Somewhere in this timeline in 2005, it says Clemishire explained that she retained an attorney in 2005. We don't know when, we don't have a month. That's where the ambiguity is, to file a civil lawsuit. But Morris attorney suggested she caused the abuse on herself because she was being flirtatious, just like we are reading. This is when she asked for the $50,000 to cover the cost of the counseling stemming from the abuse, and which they countered with 25,000 and an NDA. Once again, if your church ever tries to make you sign an NDA, run. Any church that makes people try to sign an NDA is a poor excuse for a church, because what are they hiding? So basically the question is this, when did she retain this attorney, and when did she initially ask for this $50,000, for those people who want their curiosity, I guess, satisfied by this? But at the end of the day, like Chrislyn was saying, no amount of money in the world will ever make up. What it really seems like was Cindy just wanted people to know about Robert and what he did, instead of having this skewed version of him as some type of an amazing pastor who people should listen to. And some people were ripping on me because I was ripping on Morris's tithing practices. And, I'm going to stand by that all day long. Morris had a very bad teaching on tithing. I mean, this is the same guy who said that he wouldn't let someone date his daughter unless he checked their tithe records first. This is the same man who tried to do a money back guarantee on tithing. I mean, what kind of garbage is that? What kind of multi-market scheme is that? Get here, go ahead and tithe to the church and get your money back. Is that the point of tithing? Is that the point of giving to the Lord, is to get your money back if you don't get satisfactory results? I mean, that's garbage. We as Christians, everything we need to know about giving is found in the New Testament. We give with a cheerful heart. We don't give begrudgingly. We don't give out of compulsion. God loves a cheerful giver. That's where giving is. So continuing on here through this article, and I just wanted to get that out of the way, that there's ambiguity of the timeline, because I've sadly seen some people coming out attacking Clemishire, basically saying, hey, look, she said she wanted 50,000, but here she said she wanted 2 million. Once again, we don't have we only have a transcript. We don't have a recording. We can't hear the inflection of her voice. We don't know if she was just saying it to be sarcastic. And we do see in the transcript that she was resisting naming a dollar amount. Basically, she just wanted him to come out and admit what was going on and let the cards play from there, because she knew that everybody in that church, or at least the vast majority of people in that church, if they knew what he did, they would not want to sit under him, because he was not qualified for ministry. Not qualified for ministry. So continuing on, what we see here, Morris, who never paid off Clemishire, resigned from Gateway Church on June 18th. Clemishire, who said she had been grappling with the psychological impact of the abuse for decades, revealed in the selected emails, the ones that we were looking at, that she shared with the Christian Post, how she first reached out to Morris in 2005 about the abuse. Ethan Fisher, senior pastor of Gateway Church, also the son-in-law of Morris, revealed that last Sunday his family had faced a, quote, nightmare week following the revelation of allegations from Clemishire. After Morris resigned, Fisher said he was also removed from the, quote, apostolic and overseeing elder of Gateway Church Houston. Once again, I just want to make clear, apostolic elder is not a position in the church. That is not a position in the church. The only apostolic elder you can say we had were the 12 and Paul. There is no current apostolic elder of a church today. That's some new apostolic reformation stuff, honestly used to control by people. You saw what happened to Mike Bickle. He had that role, and that you saw how he was using fake prophecies deceive and twist people. I'm sorry, I am not sharing on the correct tab. My bad about that. But you saw basically just how horrible all this kind of stuff is. When it comes to the twisting of words, and when you go outside the Bible and make up these positions that are not positions in the church today. Continuing on, it says Elaine and I were processing it. This is Morris's son once again, or father or son-in-law. Obviously, as a family, Elaine, a daughter, and I've done my best to be there. Me, as a son-in-law, we're processing the pain in real time in the same way I know many of you are. Fisher told his congregants. I went and read that article. There was really nothing new there inside of that. Gateway Church attracts around 100,000 worshipers weekly across its 9 campuses. And we got a comment over here, honestly. And this is why I'm just honestly tired of covering this. From Gempath, he says, is this a church or a soap opera? Exactly. Exactly what you're saying. Because honestly, this whole it just grieves my heart because of how the outside world kind of sees in, but at the same time I do rest on the fact that God is sovereign, God is in control, God is separating out those who are real from those who are fake. He is bringing things to light that have been done inside the darkness, and that is one thing that I can have joy and glorify God in. But sadly, I really, that's why you haven't seen me talk about this too often, because I'm just kind of done with it. I'm done with it unless something real comes out. But I wanted to go over this because once again, I've seen a lot online, people asking, what's the deal with this $2 million? It said in the initial report, she only wanted 50,000. We get this transcript that's leaked from someone at Gateway. We don't know if this person is trying to just get the truth out there, make Robert look good, make Robert look bad, whatever the case may be. We don't know. So take it with a grain of salt, take it for what it is. And we, once again, only have the transcript, not the actual audio of it. So we can't hear the inflection in her voice. We don't know what's going on. It's just, craziness. So let's go ahead and go to a few comments here before we go ahead and kick this off. But I did once again feel like I had to talk about this simply because of the inconsistencies that were initially reported and what came out and how we can kind of reconcile these things together. Excuse me there. Deborah's asking the question, does he right out own those buildings? If he does, meaning no one can in his right mind collect money if they are sold. If so, will he be holding out for an empty place and have an empty building in the end? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, because honestly, we haven't heard from him. I've gone over to, this is Robert Morris's Facebook page right here. Obviously, it has been unavailable. You go over to his ministry's Twitter. Posts are protected. Everything's on lockdown right now. Go over to his actual Twitter. It's not there anymore. It's completely gone. So who knows what's going on? Is he just going to shrink away? Is he receiving a fat and cushy paycheck from Gateway Church for the rest of his life? Who knows what's happening? We don't know. I mean, and that's honestly the only thing I really care to report on, unless something else comes out crazy, because that's some serious injustice if that's the case. If he's getting a nice big paycheck throughout this entire process. Continuing on. Tommy says, amen, no NDA. Yes, exactly. Rebecca Chambers said, why hire a law firm? The crime was admitted. So the law firm hire was done by Gateway Church. Gateway Church hired this law firm after he retired to investigate the incident. And then that's where the ambiguity comes in. Some are saying this is a PR thing to try to save the church. Some are saying that this is damage control. And others are saying this is a legitimate investigation for the church to get back on the right feet. What the right answer is, I honestly have no idea. I'm not going to pretend to know. Chris Lemater voice known that the law firm is damage control. Barbara says God is separating the sheep from the goats right now. Deborah comes back and says 100% correct. You spoke about the apostle stuff that they're trying to bring in. Exactly. This is, once again, if you're not familiar with the New Apostolic Reformation, this is a belief that all churches must submit themselves underneath an apostolic authority. The thing is, the word apostle in the Bible just literally means a sent one. The closest thing that we have to an apostle today, if you want to call an apostle, little a, I'll say, is a missionary, because that is a sent one. Someone who goes out, someone who spreads the gospel, and someone who plants churches. That's an apostle. But they like to view themselves as the capital A apostle, as I call it, which is on par with the 12, the apostle Paul, these apostolic authorities that worked in signs, wonders, and powers and miracles to be able to do amazing things in the spreading of the gospel. Basically, the foundation of the church. The foundation of the church was built on the apostles and prophets. And then we are the house that's being built on top of that foundation. Once the foundation is built, you no longer need to continue building it up as you're building the house, just kind of makes a lot of sense to me. And Gray over here says, and hopefully I'm saying your name right, Gray, he is letting his children take the fall. They are the ones having to face the fallout. And I do feel really horrible and bad about that, that his children are, how much did his children know? We don't know. We don't know. But we definitely know that because of him hiding his sin, not stepping down when he should have stepped down, not basically kind of getting what he deserved on this side of heaven, which he would still be saved if he is a Christian, in heaven. He would go to heaven and worship God if he's a Christian, but not getting basically what he's due. Romans chapter 13, on this side of heaven here. He's letting the children take the fall now. And it's sad. It's sad. One more comment here. Yvonne, Titus, hopefully I said your name right. I really apologize if I did not. That said, I believe everything is out except the likely scenario that Cindy is not the only victim. If that happens, he clearly needs to go to prison, he said, and rightfully so. I know there's a lot of speculation out there because of the statistics that this is normally not a one-time event, but that is all 100% speculation. We don't want to deal in speculation too much and dabble into that, because then we move in the side from reporting what's going on, what are possibilities, into moving into the gossip territory. Not accusing you of that, but I do appreciate you sharing your opinion on that, because that might be the only thing really worth talking about or reporting, unless there are some crazy lies coming out here. Because like I said, guys, this just grieves me so much in the way to see this horrible, horrible stuff happening within Christianity. And I'm sick of talking about it, honestly. But I feel like I have to, since I started, and then kind of keep going on from that. But all right, hey, we'll go ahead and wrap it up now. I appreciate all y'all that have been listening on. Where is Robert Morris? What is he doing now? Who knows? Who cares? All I know is that the Christ True Church is going to champion on. Christ True Church is going to push forward, because the gospel will not be defeated, even by people who share the gospel for vain gain. All right, with all that said, I will talk to y'all later, and I love y'all. I hope y'all had a wonderful Sunday worshiping the Lord, and I will see y'all on the next one.